All right, so we are back, GameBreakr at GDC 2010, beautiful San Francisco, California. We just wrapped up doing the live roaming rig, and I come back to the booth, and who is it other than Nathan Richardsson from CCP? What's up, buddy?
Everything's up, man. It's been a great couple of days, and it's going to be a great couple more days.
Yes, it is. It's always good to see you, and we always have so much to chat about.
Yes.
Eve. What's new? What's the word? Tell me about it. What do you got going on?
Oh, we have lots of things going on.
Always.
Yeah. I mean, we've been putting out free expansions now for every 6 months for, I don't know, 5 years, I guess. And the summer expansion is about planetary interaction, but we're also going into providing like social networking tools for the entire community. So you can basically interact with the world wherever you are, whenever you want to. And I think that's going to create a pretty more like metagame atmosphere, and also, of course, that we'll see easier communication and organization of larger, like thousand people organizations really being able to organize themselves better
and communicate better.
Absolutely.
Go back to what did you talk about first with the planetary stuff?
Yeah.
Can you paint a picture of what this is? Are you talking about? I didn't see the keynote, but I've heard some tidbits from Brent about he saw some things with some planets and some pinpoint things happening. And
well, yeah, the thing is that we've had these planets like hanging there for quite some time now, right? And we figured out like Eve is a dark, brutal universe, and how can we like really reflect that? And then we start thinking about planets and all the thousands of people that are down there, and we thought we should be able to give the players to rule as benevolent tyrants.
So what does that mean? Tell me, what does that mean? What am I doing on these planets? What are we doing to these planets?
Yeah, you're harvesting resources, a totally new resource chain, and it's basically a commodity change which you're actually going into. And then of course you're interacting with the guys that are also on the planet, and they're actually manipulating the resources, and you're always searching for new ones and actually manipulating your own resource infrastructure, and then of course making it into products, and then of course getting them onto the market and selling them.
So this is obviously I shouldn't say obviously, but this sounds like a tie into Dust, obviously. Where
this is definitely the first step. I mean, the tie-in between the two games is going to be through the planets. We obviously have the mercenaries on the planets, and they will be playing a big role in actually the conquering and affecting the actual territories down there. So this is the first industrial opening up of the planets, and manipulate those thousands of people at your will, which you do when you're a demigod.
So we don't see anything like we're not going to see anything like an RTS factor to the planetary stuff like that.
No.
So it's more of if I'm understanding it correctly, if I'm playing the current Eve side on the PC side, I'm going to guess that resources change, shift, and move around on these planets.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have some sort of probing devices to find out where they are. And then I can drop...
We like probing devices.
We do like it's spandex.
Yeah, spandex.
I'm going to drop pins at certain markers to say like certain things are there. And then that's going to tie into Dust, and I'm going to have my ground troops then helping out in this whole planetary battle for these...
It's basically on a contractual basis that you have between the mercenary alliances and corporations, and of course the space corporations and alliances, and over time, of course, they'll be interacting through Eve Gate, which is the social platform that we're launching this summer, and that'll be the same installation. I mean, you're basically doing all the metagame play between those factions in there, and over time, of course, you'll end up having bonds between those, and longer term like alliances between alliances, I guess, and kind of opening up like that your action actually has meanings on both ends of the game. So I mean, you're actually fighting for actual like planetary value in Dust, and of course on the Eve side, of course, if you want to really keep something, you actually get better contracts for the mercenaries, and you'll get better mercenaries, and it's kind of like interacting like that.
So here's a question on how are you dealing with the fact of like this is a completely new territory. Nobody's ever really done this before. What you're doing, you've got a huge die-hard community of Eve players who love the Eve universe, and they understand what Eve is right now in the PC space. Now you bring in the Dust 514 area of it. Will this force people on the PC side at all, do you think, to have to play possibly in a different way? Are they going to have to now tie into that? And
well, I mean, the amount of effect they have on each other remains to be seen. I mean, we'll be trying different levels and different approaches basically between the two, because the thing is that they're supposed to be complementary to each other, not detrimental, and striking that balance is going to be pretty difficult. But I think that there is a common incentive between the two, which is actually gaining money from each other, and then of course getting resources to actually like build up your bases and so on and so forth. So it's basically that everything that you do has meaning. Also ends up with some true emotions being involved, I mean, it really comes back to how can we actually make a shooter,
right?
Leveraging our massively multiplayer experience, but still somehow have meaning in the larger scheme of things. And then of course, like, it was obvious for us, like, let's just make it the same game. Basically, it's the same universe.
And it sounds like what's going to play a big part in this is the contract system and having that all in place that works for it. Because what I'm thinking of is, like, when I play EVE, I've never played with a huge 1,000-person corporation. I always kind of played with smaller groups. So my thought would be, okay, if I'm used to playing EVE in this way and I play with, say, like 15 people are in my corp, and then Dust comes in, if there's a new, like, do I all of a sudden have to play my game differently or think about it differently?
No.
Or am I not going to be able to survive because we can't compete because we don't have this other wing? Because I know how EVE players are obviously going to, the larger corporations are going to recruit and build huge Dust armies as well, in conjunction with their space armies.
Well, hopefully at least. What you'll be seeing there is that planetary interaction is really an approachable aspect of the game. It has a low barrier to entry, and there are like different levels of interaction, and simply you will be able to choose at which level you're actually playing, and the Alliance will be actually playing on a bigger planetary level versus, of course, smaller corporations. So there's a space for everybody there, and you don't really have to start entering into hardcore meta gameplay to actually participate in anything around planetary interaction, anything like that, because you will have smaller corporations or simply pick up games on the mercenary side for those like smaller plots of land and lesser paid battles, and I think the economic tie-in there is going to be key to actually, maintaining some intrinsic gameplay on all of those levels.
What he's saying is, if you're an EVE player, there's going to be some ways to make lots of money.
Yeah, it's
well, it's going to be interesting, because you're adding so much new space to it and stuff like that. So the social aspects of it, we've been talking about this for a long time. So it sounds like now we're going to get to the point where, is this a social network you're launching?
Well, so EVE really in itself is a huge social network. It has amazing ties, and if you would map it out into like a social map, it's actually quite interesting. What we're basically providing is like the social networking tools. So even though that you talk about it as a social network, it really simply is a basic set of tools which you would run any corporation anywhere, and then of course
it needs a framework.
Yeah, it's basically a framework.
And what kind of tools will that give corporations? What will we be able to do? Schedule events and things like that on the basic level. But I'm sure knowing CCP and EVE, it goes a lot more granular than that.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, what we're first starting out with is basically tying it in so that you're accessing the email and the communications, both in game and out of game, voice as well, and also of course getting into a calendar as well, which is basically a fundamental thing that EVE has been lacking for quite some time. But what also you're seeing is that this will also be able to create kind of new networks and actually exposing the outer side and what's actually happening in game by actually just going to EveGate and seeing the profiles and actually seeing what's happening. So you're actually exposing what's happening in the universe on a daily basis. So think about going to somebody's like Facebook profile. You're actually seeing like, whoa, it looks like an interesting corporation. Let's join.